a big treat. I've never won a golf tournament before, so that was kind of
Ever?
neat.
Really?
Well, no, not like this.
Man.
No,
Not a big deal like this.
Not a big deal like this.
Yeah.
Prizes were pretty cool. But what a great weekend. And then Tuesday you get the rankings come out, and it's time to go, huh?
Yeah, it's go time. And, thanks again to you and the rest of the folks who supported that PNC Bank Par 3 Challenge. It was great this year. As you know, sold out, moved well. Great. I think the best prizes of any golf tournament probably in the Valley. And just a really good time, and a beautiful course and one you can get through pretty quickly, unless you play golf like me, then it still takes you a long time. So, happy about that. And super excited about the first week of rankings, man. And I would say things pretty much landed kind of where I thought they would, with the exception maybe of the Ohio State 2, Georgia 3. I think that would be one that I've heard people question a little bit, given that Georgia beat both ranked Clemson and Texas teams, and Ohio State has only beaten Penn State as a ranked team right now. So, I think you could quibble with that, but otherwise, I think there's kind of the usual suspects here in this ranking.
I think one thing and you talk about Ohio State, yeah, they've won, but I think as far as a lot of the folks watching us, we've expected more, maybe. I think that's what I kind of hear in your voice as well, too. It just kind of they're winning, but they're not blowing teams away with all the talent they have, is what I'm hearing from all those pundits out there.
Yeah, I think, and this is something that the selection committee talks about some, which is kind of the eye test. Mm-hmm. Does the team look dominant when it wins? Do they look like they're winning going away? Even if the score isn't, even if you don't win by 4 touchdowns, were you dominating the other team, even if you only won by 7 or by 10 or something like that? Were you in control the majority of the game or the whole game? And I think Ohio State's had some comeback wins, and they've had some wins against teams that many of us have thought, they should have been able to take care of them more handily and shouldn't have been this close. And so what does that say about the team when they will end up playing, Michigan and some of the stronger teams, and when they get in the playoffs?
I think the other thing, too, when you looked at Oregon, a lot of folks said Oregon is right. I mean, they are number one, because after they survived Idaho and then you basically saw that close game against Boise State, they're hitting on all cylinders, averaging over 40 points per game. I mean, they're lighting it up. They're that one true team that, aside from maybe that first 2 games, have pretty much been in full command and deserve that number one spot.
It feels like they've found their stride.
Yes.
And I think, what I would say is, other than Cam Ward in Miami, I think Oregon with Dylan Gabriel has the best quarterback play, right? Like you know that their signal caller is going to move the ball downfield, that offense is going to be able to produce. And I don't know that I feel that way about Ohio State's quarterback, or even Carson Beck in Georgia to the same extent.
And then there's Indiana, number 8. A lot of angst there with them in front of BYU, Notre Dame, and Bama. But I think these next 3 games are going to be the true litmus test for Indiana to see if they're the real deal or not, because they are, no matter who they're playing, though, Eric, they're scoring a lot of points and putting games away early on.
Well, here's what I would say about their coach, man. He's bringing the attitude that I think has clearly translated to his players, and that has translated to the field. And so I think they've got Michigan, and that'll be a good test for them to see what they're made of. And I think if they can do what is expected of them there, who knows where this goes.
Erik Moses joining us here on Rock and Manuch, GMB, Fox Sports 910. All right, with the CFP rankings for the Verbo Fiesta Bowl out, at this point, BYU would play the winner of Ohio State and Boise State. When these rankings came out, did you see a spike? Because there's a lot of folks, that support BYU as well as Ohio State and Boise State that probably went to SeatGeek and started getting tickets, huh?
Yeah, look, our ticket sales have certainly been stronger this year, kind of year over year, knowing that it's the first ever quarterfinal. I think the more talk that there is and speculation about specific teams, we'll see more activity and more action there. There's still a lot of football to be played, right? And because we will have the winner most likely of the Big 12, most likely, it's not a definite, but most likely the winner of the Big 12, I think fans may be hedging just a little bit to see how at least the regular season ends, and what goes on there with Iowa State and Kansas State. Sorry, Manuch, losing this past weekend, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what's going to go on. Could we see Colorado sneak in there and play BYU for a Big 12 championship and win the Big 12 out of nowhere, seemingly? And there's a lot of football left to be played, thankfully, for all of us fans.
And for the Rape Bowl, which I'm a big fan of, I love it. Big 10 versus Big 12. It's the only matchup in the postseason between these two members. There's some pretty good matchups right now. Nebraska, Baylor, Wisconsin, TCU. I love those two. Both travel.
Yeah, I think both of those teams have been in our marketplace in recent years, and I think they have great following. Michigan, West Virginia is another one that we've seen projected. So we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that the Big 12 and the Big 10 teams don't beat each other up so much that they don't qualify enough teams for us to be able to choose from both of those conferences.
High school football. Let's get into it. Friday night showdown, the last week of the regular season, Eric. And you got a pretty good one, huh?
Yeah, we do. We're excited. Last night, as you know, was the last one of our flag football showdowns, and we were excited about that. Chandler and Hamilton, and Hamilton went on to win 13-0, and so that was very exciting. And I have to say, I've talked to you guys about this before, but the young ladies out there and their families and fans and friends are just so excited about us being there and calling more attention to girls flag football in this state. And we are certainly happy to be there and look to expand that for next year. But on the boys' side, we got Red Mountain and Mountain View, which might be a fight for a spot in the Open and some bragging rights down there in Mesa.
Well, that's definitely the fight for East Valley. That rivalry goes way back to Jesse Parker and Coach Jones many, many years ago. But I got to say this, the women, as far as wrapping up the flag football, Canyon View had a big victory that last night. So it's starting to wind down a little bit. We're going to have a good game out there. Liberty and Centennial out there as well. So this is the last weekend where folks are fighting for either to be in the Open or go to the 6A or 5A championship games.
Yeah, it's that time of year, and we're excited about it. And as I said, looking to really expand this program, our involvement and support of high school sports across this state, especially on the football side.
So, Eric, as we just talked about the Verbo, we talked about the Ray, we talked about, of course, high school girls and boys. Now let's get our attention to these games and hospitality. What do you recommend at this point if you're thinking about, okay, hey, anybody can buy tickets, but it's that hospitality that people want, the suites, the things like that. What do you recommend doing at this point for those folks that are maybe, a business, you're driving around, hey, let's take our whole team out to the Rape Bowl, or the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. What's the best way to go do that, to get access to that?
Honestly, I would give a call at 480-843-4202 or email premium@fiestabowl.org. And that way, one of our staff members and our account executives on the ticketing side can give you a real understanding of what your options are. These games are all going to be great games and competitive games, so you're going to get a good product. But shaping your experience around how you consume that product is something we want to help you to be able to do. So, emailing or calling us to talk to one of our account reps is really the best way to go about curating your experience.
So how many TVs will you have going on at one time tomorrow? Are you down at the office? I remember we used to do shows down there many years ago, and we had like 4 or 5 TVs going on at one time. And how many folks will be down there watching these games tomorrow?
Well, I've got the multi-view on YouTube TV, so I sit on the couch and do the multi-view and keep changing which 4 games I'm watching at the same time. I will say that tomorrow will be, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but my first ASU Sun Devil game. I'm going to see them play UCF. So really excited to get to Sun Devil Stadium and see those guys play.
So how does that work for a guy in your position? Is it a limo picks you up? What kind of, is it? It's a black car. What is it? Big SUV, pregame. Somebody walks you up there. You get to the elevator, go up to the big suite. How does that work for Eric Moses?
How do you roll?
Yeah,
Eric?
how do you roll? How big is your entourage?
Well, Manute told me that you were picking me up and taking me over there. So
I already did that. I did that in Oregon. I already put in my time. I got credit for that. For taking care of him up there. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no,
I'm like anybody else. I'm going and enjoying being a fan, and spend a little time, hopefully, with Graham Rossini and the good folks at ASU, and just real, obviously, very proud of what Kenny is doing this season. And it's good for us in the business we're in, all of us, including you guys, obviously. I mean, if football and sports in the Valley are successful and people are following, excited about it, it's good for all of us. So I'm rooting for all the Arizona teams to win, every week.
And think about that, Eric.
1 minute.
You got a team that won 3 games last year. They are bowl eligible at 6-2, the Sun Devils. I mean, what does that mean? Not only to, as far as bowl committees per se, and putting ASU and Kenny Dillingham in this program on the map.
I love it. And it gets people talking about and being more emotionally invested in college football. And I mean, you guys know better than most people, our origin story as an organization is inextricably linked to Arizona State University. And so, to support that program and to see them kind of back on the map in a way that they should be, and I think will be for a very long time in this new conference and everything, is something that we are very supportive of. And I'm just excited to be able to be here at this time, take a trip over there and see them play tomorrow and hopefully come out with a big W.
Again, if you're looking for premium seating options, another route to go, I clicked on it, fiestabowl.org, click on tickets. It takes you to premium seating, both for the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and the Rape Bowl. It's all right there. You even get to see pictures. And us guys, we like pictures, right? It even shows you where you're going to sit. So
we're visual.
Stuff. Yeah, very visual. So, Eric, thank you as always, buddy. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
All right. Be well, fellas.
You got it. That's Erik Moses joining us, part of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, the executive director, and Rape Bowl. Again, fiestabowl.org. And if you are looking for tickets for the Rape Bowl or Verbo Fiesta Bowl, if you follow us on social, you'll see there's some links there that you can benefit, get a little bit of a discount. So check that out at your leisure. Coming up, we need a contestant to take on Kevin Rowe.